Hi, Dustin. I'm Leif Sørensen from Denmark, the CEO of Relation Technologies, working heavily with export to emerging markets and the European market. To give you a brief background about myself, I am the business part of the company, and we are the company is owned by two persons, myself, Leif Sørensen, and my partner, Harpelund. And we have divided the company into two different sectors in terms of the task and people who has references to each one of us. I'm the CEO, and I take care of the whole company in general in terms of developing the company and taking care of the business side, and this includes exports. And Christian is taking care of all the knowledge part in terms of developing our concepts into relevance for the market. We develop and work with organization development within different branches and sectors on a global base. We strongly focus on export because our things has to be targeting a mass market, so we need to target a lot of people and do not have the luxury of staying in a local market. So we work through partners and we work through heavily through export. At the moment we are expanding into China. I have a background of business. I've owned several companies and developed them and sold them afterwards, and I hold a degree in business, and Christian is a psychiatrist and has a degree from universities in that. About exports and how to begin with your export, I have a very strong focus on how can you actually help companies who want to start exporting. And one of my learnings is actually that there is strong focus on export from governments around the world, but it's mainly targeting the big companies because huge companies have been able to set the agenda because they are the main resource revenue stream for a country or for a society in terms of export. It's always huge companies who does the export, and it's a massive economy. But that means that all the structures around export in countries are always targeting the major companies. But they forget that small, medium-sized companies actually has a strong need to begin to start learning how to export. And there isn't any knowledge or any knowledge base targeting them. So I've been spending some time looking at what would be needed if you want to help small and medium-sized companies start exporting. And what I came up with is that you actually need to provide them with information on markets, and that could be different markets, and you could divide the information into Europe, emerging markets, Asia, US, Africa, South America, and if you could provide structure information on markets, as an example could be if you could go and look at branches, how big is the branch in terms of turnovers, how is the structure, how many companies is represented, how big are they, what are the structures, all that kinds of industrial information would provide export companies to take wise decisions. And for the moment, it's not possible as a company to take a decision that is thoughtful and actually been worked out a lot, because as a small and medium-sized company, you do not have time market exams and market studies that has a high quality, so that leaves them with a problem. And actually the way that you can, and if you want that kind of information, you need to buy from a company who provides you with information like that, and that will cost you a lot of money. So small and medium-sized companies does not prioritize to spend that kind of money on exams on the market. So that means that it's actually they start exporting by coincidence. Let me give an example of that. It could be you are representing your things on a fair somewhere, on an exhibition, and one guy come up and says, "Oh, I like your products, and I think you have a huge opportunity in my country." So you start the dialogue, and that's actually fine. But maybe if you had the information about his market and the market just next to him, and just next to him, you would discover that if you start exporting to him, you will only be able to export to a very small market, and the structure and the industrial structures are not really fit to your products. But you don't have that kind of information, so you will not be able to take that decision, and you do not have the information to take the decision saying that, no, I should not go into China, I should go into Malaysia because Malaysia is a little bit far ahead in some sectors. So by providing small and medium-sized companies information about the market structure allows them to take a decision that is wise when they are looking at their products. So this if you ask me, the next step for export on a global basis is actually to start providing information that allows small and medium-sized companies to take that kind of wise decisions, and that is only one small bit of tools that are required if you want to start exporting. Another tool is how do you actually evaluate a partner? How do you actually evaluate a market? All that kinds of tools are not available at the moment, and everybody who wants to start exporting actually needs to develop their own kind of toolbox to start the exporting, and that's a waste of time. That is actually that is one of my strongest focus on exports at the moment. And the way that and if I should answer the second question, how do I actually help create opportunities? I have decided that to start companies help exporting. I have started a diary, an export diary called Export. In Denmark, we had this what we call a canon export, which were kind of a good examples on who have done it very great in terms of export, and they were all huge companies. So I started a blog called Export Canon Export instead of Export Canon, and which were kind of playing on the saying that we don't want to listen to who is great at making export. We want to help companies start exporting, and we do not help them by providing them good examples. We help them by providing them tools. So I make this export diary where I talk about what have we been doing in our company and how do we actually develop into a market. And by doing so, I provide people who want to listen my knowledge and our experience on starting exporting to countries, and what kind of mistakes have we been making, and what kind of strategy have we been going through, and what have we been doing in order to become successful in exporting, mainly targeting small and medium-sized companies. And then I also, in terms of helping, try to put myself on the export agenda in Denmark, and has been called in for meetings with governmental representatives who wants to listen to the problems that we are facing as a small company who wants to export. And to give you the last answer to my recommendation is you should look for information and inspiration with other companies for a short period of time. You should only go in and ask, how have you been doing it? What were your best? My first thing would be, what would an advice for somebody who did it good be to your company? And when you have that answer, you should not be looking for any more inspiration in terms of exporting. You should start working with export, which means you should create yourself network. You should make sure that you get the toolbox to do the export. You should decide on what market do I want to be represented in, and you should only choose one market per year, and you should focus on that market, and you should make sure that you actually drive and push that market forward. And when you have the experience on one market, you can transfer that knowledge into a second market or a third market. And as you become better at driving a market and pushing it, you might be able to open up more than one market. But you have to bear in mind that it's a person who has to take all the decisions, and there are no toolbox for that. So, but by creating a toolbox, you will be able to take some shortcuts when you start a new market, and other persons in your company will be able to use that same toolbox and use your structure towards their markets. And you need to be able to provide tools that are structured enough to let other people use them. As soon as you have that, you are ready to go. But don't forget, it's actually a question of working with the market. It's a question of calling. It's a question of writing. It's a question of taking travels, finding out exhibitions, keep growing your network, keep getting time on speeches, keep working with one-to-one for a very long time. It's first when you establish yourself in a market that you can start think of marketing in a traditional way, and it takes some time before you can do that. So my recommendation would be actually to start work with export, get some inspiration, stop your time with inspiration, because you can spend so much time getting inspiration and not doing the work, which is one person doing something, and start doing something instead of getting more inspiration. So as soon as you have kind of a clear mind, set yourself for a market and then start making the calls. That would be my recommendation for startups. And then I would like to make an offer to everyone who wants to start exporting is to actually contact me. I'm very open to share all my tools and share my experiences, not in terms of export, but in terms of tools, provide the tools that I've created and I've gathered together, and they are in English already. So feel free to contact me. And to you, Dustin, I'd like to say thank you for giving me this opportunity to make this interview. I hope I can be in some way creating value for your business and for the people who want to read your blog. So thank you for your time, and feel free to contact me again. Bye.